Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to use an asymmetrical two-post lift in order to lift this Buick Regal. And so what I mean by asymmetrical is if I look at the posts, they're not facing directly across from each other. This one kind of angles off in that direction, that one angles off in this direction. And so what an asymmetrical lift allows you to do is it allows you to mount it closer to the wall in your shop and give yourself a little bit more space. As far as the way the car goes on, more of the car will be poking out the back on this style lift than what you might be used to on a symmetrical lift, which we'll look at in a different video. So when you're using a lift like this, the first thing you have to do is drive the vehicle on so that you are centered between the two posts like we are right there. And then also make sure that the back end of your car is straight, right? You want to be straight on with that lift. The next thing we got to worry about is the center of gravity. So on front wheel drive vehicles, most of the time our center of gravity is right over the dashboard. And so we've lined that dashboard up right between our two posts. Okay? Now if you're working on a rear wheel drive, all wheel drive, four wheel drive, the center of gravity is going to shift more towards the back. And so you'll want to line up the posts pretty much over the driver's seat. Now obviously it's not a rule that fits perfectly to every vehicle. Different vehicles with different configurations are going to change a slight bit. But for the most part, front wheel drive over the dash, four wheel drive and other vehicles over the seat. Okay, so we've got this thing lined up where it needs to be. So what we need to do now is position our arms under the lift points. And so I looked into the owner's manual, figured out where those lift points were, and we've spread the arms as far apart as we possibly could while still accessing those lift points. You don't want your arms too close together or the car is going to teeter on the lift. All right, so we've done that on both sides. So what we're going to do now is come over to our controls and we're going to raise the lift slowly. And then as soon as it touches the car, I'm going to stop and I'm just going to double check that I'm contacting in the spot that I thought I was on both sides. Okay, it never hurts to double and triple check everything that you're doing when it comes to a lift. You do not want this car falling off. Right, so now we're gonna raise it a little bit more. We're gonna raise it about 6 inches off of the ground. And once you've got it off the ground, you're gonna come to the front bumper and just kind of give it a little shake and make sure the car is not teetering off of those arms. I usually do it at the front and the back. All right, so as I shake it, good, it feels really solid. So now we can continue lifting. Now as we start going up higher, you're gonna start hearing these clicking noises, and those will be the manual locks that are engaging. There's our first set. There's our another set. We're gonna raise this car high enough to get underneath it. Now watch out for the top, right? You don't want the car to run into the top of the two-post lift. It does have a safety switch up there that you can see, right? That foam bar that will shut off the machine so you don't crush the top of the car. On this low profile of a car, it's probably not going to be a big deal. It'll max out the lift before we reach that. But on taller vehicles, you need to be very careful. Okay, we've maxed out, and now in order to get under this vehicle, right now we're just trusting the hydraulics. We are still using the hydraulics to hold the vehicle up. So I'm going to use this lever and bleed out the hydraulics, and the car is going to come down and rest on the last set of locks that we passed. Okay, see I've bled the hydraulics all the way out. The car is now resting on those locks. And now, as I double check where everything's contacting, I can go into the vehicle safely. Okay, and now you can see those spots where I put the pads On the back, the lift point was the pinch weld. And if you don't know what a pinch weld is, it's this piece that goes all along the side of the vehicle, and it's extra thick towards the front and the back. On the front, the lift point is this extra bubbled down section that they give us. Gives it a little bit more strength. You can't just go under any old part of the floor, you might go right through the bottom of the car. Okay, so everything looks really solid. Do the work that you need to. Now obviously if you're going to be doing some crazy amount of shaking and weight shifting and all that, you're gonna wanna put some tall jack stands under the four corners of this car to support it and keep it from falling off. Once you're done with your job, first thing we need to do is come over here and raise the vehicle off of those locks. Okay, and now this lever right here will release all those locks. You can hear it. And now I'm going to bleed the hydraulics and let the car down. And that is how you lift and lower a vehicle on an asymmetrical two-post.